The Shakyamuni Buddha statue, majestically rising more than 20 feet high, reflected by the pond at Lotus Garden Retreat Center in Stanley, Virginia, received its consecration and official unveiling in September 2010. The Shakyamuni Buddha statue had a long journey in order to stand on the throne. Its inception came through the aspiration of Chabje Mindrolling Trichin, who wished that Lotus Garden have some part of Mindrolling Monastery in India in order to form a stronger bond and also to help firmly plant the precious Buddha Dharma in the West, while supporting its flourishing for generations to come. The Lotus Garden Buddha statue is an exact replica of the Buddha statue descending from the Deva realm at the Great Stupa at Mindrolling Monastery in Clementown, India. It is Chabje Rinpoche's blessed and precious gift to Lotus Garden. In fulfilling the wish of their teacher and father, Her Eminence Mindrolling Jetsun Khandro Rinpoche and Minling Jetsun Denchen Palden coordinated the entire effort to create a new statue, ship it from India to Virginia, and then to perform and oversee the numerous rituals required for the statue to be properly consecrated, and thus serve as an auspicious reminder and blessing for the entire community. A team from the Lotus Garden Sangha was assembled to receive the Buddha statue at the Baltimore Harbor and bring it to Lotus Garden, where it was welcomed by Jetsun Khandro Rinpoche, Jetsun Denchen Palden, the senior nuns of the Somtonsei Retreat Center, and the entire Sangha. Jetsun Khandro Rinpoche performed the initial purification and blessing of the statue before it was placed temporarily in the main shrine room. After many months, and upon the completion of the pedestal, the Buddha statue was almost ready to be placed upon the throne. The senior monks of Mindrolling, in particular Lama Rigala and Lama Punsakla, were invaluable in their expertise. They personally drew the plans for the pedestal and then helped to create the lotus throne and install the statue on the structure, overseeing every aspect of its placement. Once the statue was brought out from the main shrine room, Jetsun Khandro Rinpoche assisted the Sangha with the creation of a hood, as the statue needed to be veiled before being placed on the throne. Following the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, any statue, no matter the size, remains with its face and head covered until it has been properly consecrated by the appropriate person, who can fill the statue with blessed zung in a ritualized manner, with all the requisite prayers, and while maintaining the purification of body, speech, and mind. After a long wait, and on a glorious summer day, the Buddha statue was finally ready to be placed on the throne. It was breathtaking to see it fly through the air and land in its permanent home. After the statue was completely secured on the throne, the well-known Tibetan artist Tsetan Laje assisted Lama Rigala and Lama Punsakla to create the golden lotus on which the Buddha statue would finally stand. Once the statue was firmly in place, the next step was the zung, or the filling for the statue. The nuns at Samtensei Retreat Center in India also contributed greatly in the preparation of the millions of dharinis that were copied onto paper, purified, dried, and then rolled in a prescribed way in order to surround the Dzogchen and completely fill the statue. While creating the zung, all the nuns observed strict textual and traditional purification guidelines. Venerable Tulku Drakpa Rinpoche kindly assisted the Lotus Garden Sangha, first in finding the perfect tree that would become the Dzogchen. The Dzogchen is the life force pole that is placed in the middle of the Buddha statue and to which millions of dharinis or mantras are attached. It is considered to be the life force of the statue. A great deal of work was also in progress to transform the area around the Buddha statue into Jetsun Kanda Rinpoche's vision for Sonam Gatso, a park for peaceful contemplation and practice. It was also the good fortune of the Sangha that the Buddha statue consecration coincided with the bestowal of the Kunzang Gompa Zangtal empowerment by Chögyal Taklung Tsetral Rinpoche. Chögyal Rinpoche kindly agreed to bless the zung as well as do the calligraphy and auspicious symbols required on the Dzogchen. Specific prayers must be written on the Dzogchen in exact positions. Once the main prayers are completed, it is then necessary to fill in the entire surface with prayers, which was generously done by Tulku Drakpa Rinpoche, Lama Rigala, Lama Kunga Gyatso, and Lama Rabge. The Lotus Garden Sangha, along with many attendees of the Kunzang Gompa Zangtal empowerments, assisted the monks and nuns in making more zung, as millions more were needed to fill the large statue. Many millions of mantras were photocopied onto paper and then the sheets purified with saffron water. Normally, the process can take several days, but as time was of importance, it was compressed and the sheets were laid to dry all around the shrine room, in every inch of space. Then the dry sheets were collected and prepared to be rolled. The next part of the ritual was the blessing of the contents, or the zung. This was also done by Chögyal Tsetral Rinpoche, along with Tulku Drakpa Rinpoche, and several tulkus, monks, and nuns of Mindrolling. Final preparations of the Dzogchen took place in a tent near the Buddha statue. It was wrapped first in 5-colored thread, and then specific prayers and mantras were written on paper and placed at the correct positions. Once this was completed, the Dzogchen was completely wrapped in yellow cloth.
Voilà.
The next day, the final prayers were made for the Dzogchen and the Zung. The Zung prepared by the Santumse nuns were tied onto boards. These boards would eventually surround the Dzogchen inside the Buddha statue. A red ribbon was attached to the Dzogchen so that the mantras would be facing the correct direction. The final prayers were then performed. Once all the prayers were completed, the Dzogchen was finally ready to be placed inside the Buddha statue. The long process of filling the huge statue was thus underway, starting with the rolls and rolls of darvinis tied together in bundles. Tulku Drakpa Rinpoche filled the statue and was assisted by all the monks and nuns in attendance. The statue was also filled with several volumes of Tibetan texts. Trabjit Setchel Rinpoche oversaw every step of the process and continually provided exact instructions to Tulku Drakpa Rinpoche. The entire statue is filled with blessed dharinis, zung, and many rare and precious relics of the Buddha, Guru Rinpoche, and many masters of India and Tibet, precious and sacred relics of Mindrolling, sacred substances, medicinal herbs, juniper, and many precious substances such as gold and silver, along with precious stones such as diamonds, rubies, and turquoise, all of which was generously offered by members of the Sangha. Once the body was completely full, the monks then filled the head of the Buddha statue entirely with juniper. After the statue was filled with all the zung, the scaffolding was then removed, the final polishing completed, and the adornments attached to the base. The adornments, or auspicious symbols, including snow lions, were created entirely out of copper by artisans in India. The crew worked late into the night to finish the statue for the consecration the next morning. The last remaining detail was the creation of a veil that could be easily removed by the Vajra master performing the consecration. The Sangha was further blessed by His Eminence Kochin Rinpoche, who came all the way from the Mindrolling monastery in India to perform the final consecration of the Buddha statue. Lotus Garden was honored when he was joined by His Eminence Ringo Tulku Rinpoche, who also traveled from India for the event. Not only was the entire Sangha of Lotus Garden present, but also all the attendees of the Kunzang Gompa Zangtal empowerments and many citizens of Stanley and the surrounding area. It is Her Eminence Mindrolling Jetsun Khandro Rinpoche's vision that the Buddha statue park at Lotus Garden served the larger area of the Shenandoah Valley and its residents as a public park and a peaceful place to visit for contemplation and meditation. At last, the Buddha statue was unveiled. It was a splendid moment to finally see the glorious face of the Buddha, who had stood covered for more than a year, but it was well worth it, as it was extraordinarily beautiful, splendid, and actually glowing. Everyone in attendance was honored and delighted to be so blessed by the auspicious occasion and by all the thoughtfulness, unceasing efforts, and vision of our great and beloved teachers. The entire Sangha offered katas, prayers, and circumambulated the new Buddha statue.
Your compassionate spirit means you were born into the family of the Shakyas. You defeated the hosts of Maras, who were unvanquished by others. You stood your skies like a mountain of gold, victorious one of the Shakyas. Prostrations to you, having first given rise to the mind of Bodhi, you perfected the two accumulations of merit and wisdom. At a time with great and vast deeds, you became the protector of beings. I praise you. Accomplished the benefit of the gods, you knew it was the time to tame beings. You then descended from the heavenly realm and approached as an elephant, and having seen the family, you went to rule.
After the completion of the precious transmissions of the Kunzang Gompa Zangto, Chabje Tsetro Rinpoche also kindly blessed the Buddha statue by performing the Rodne, after having seen to so many details and generously blessing and guiding the rituals. After the formal blessing of the Shakyamuni Buddha statue, Chabje Tsetro Rinpoche also tilled all the land, blessing every inch of Lotus Garden and making vast aspirations for the benefit of all sentient beings. Everyone who remained at Lotus Garden that day, and for many days following, felt deep gratitude and longing devotion for our beloved Chabje Mindrolling Trichin, who had such an enlightened vision for Lotus Garden and its potential. Gratitude was also felt for the remarkable teachers who have graced the land with their presence and wisdom, and especially for Jetsun Khandra Rinpoche and Jetsun Dechen Palden, who ceaselessly encourage us and guide us along the path of the Buddha Dharma.